Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Small Talk with Matthew and Rachel. Today we're going to be talking about the flight into the wilderness that happened to Elijah. So, you want to read it, Rachel? How far you want me to read, or do you
I know,
just
like
want
the
me
whole
to
chapter. Like you gotta do the basically,
all
isn't
21
it?
verses? All 21 verses? Do you want me to read it, or you want to read it?
I'll read the first part, and you can read the second part.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Now Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, "So may the gods do to me, and even more, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time." And he was afraid. And he arose and ran for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat there under a juniper tree, and he requested for himself that he might die, and said, It is enough now, O Lord, take my life, for I am not better than my fathers. He lay down and slept under a juniper tree, and behold, there was an angel touching him. And he said to him, Arise, eat. Then he looked, and behold, there was at his head a bread cake baked on hot stones, and a jar of water. So he ate and drank, and lay down again. The angel of the Lord came again a second time, and touched him, and said, Arise, eat, because the journey is too great for you. So he arose and ate and drank, and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mountain of God.
Then he came there to the cave and lodged there, and behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said to him, What are you doing here, Elijah? He said, I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. And I alone am left, and they seek my life to take it away. So he said, Go forth and stand in the mountain before the Lord. And behold, the Lord was passing by, and a great and strong wind was rending the mountains and breaking in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a sound of a gentle blowing. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. And behold, a voice came to him and said, What are you doing here, Elijah? Then Elijah said, I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the sons of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword, and I alone am left, and they seek my life to take it away. The Lord said to him, Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when you have arrived, you shall anoint Hazael king over Aram, and Jehu the son of Nimshi you shall anoint king over Israel, and Elisha the son of Shaphat of Abel Monah you shall anoint as prophet in your place. It shall come about, the one who escapes from the sword of Hazael Jehu shall put to death, and the one who escapes from the sword of Jehu Elisha shall put to death. Yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him. So he departed from there and found Elisha the son of Shaphat while he was plowing with 12 pairs of oxen before him, and he with the 12th. And Elijah passed over him and threw his mantle on him. He left the oxen and ran after Elijah and said, "Please let me kiss my father and my mother, then I will follow you." Then he said, "Go back again, for what have I done to you?" So he returned from following him and took the pair of oxen and sanctified them and boiled their flesh with the implements of the oxen and gave it to the people, and they ate. Then he rose and followed Elijah and ministered to him. So, great big chunk of Bible prophecy there, huh? Great big chunk.
Well, I wasn't looking at the prophecy part. I was looking at the relatableness of it. It's like so relatable. Like, that's how I saw it. I mean, of course you're going to see the prophecy part of it because that's how God made you.
That's what I do, huh?
Yeah. And of course, I'm going to see the part that it relates to our lives now because that's how God made me.
Amen. Amen. So how can we relate it to today?
Well, it's kind of like he knew that God is over all and in all. And he knew that what he was doing was right, and he was just weary. He was just so tired of what it was that people were trying to do to him and what they were saying. He was like, I'm not better than my fathers or anything, and he felt like that he was the only one. And he was just like, God, please let me just die. I was going to go to sleep here and just let me die in my sleep because that's what I just want to do. And like, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that ever feels this way, but there are some times when life just gets so hard, you're just like, God, just kill me now. It's like, I am done. I'm done. And there's nobody who's doing right. I'm so alone in the world and all this stuff. That's, it's so relatable. And then toward the end, when God is saying that, he's going to put people to the sword, and he goes through all of the things, like all the ones that he escapes the sword of Hazael, Jehu shall put to death, and the ones who escape Jehu, Elisha will put to death. And yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees who have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him. So there were actually, he thought he was all alone. He thought he was the only one. But God's saying, no, you're not. You're not the only one. There's 7,000 people who have not bowed down to Baal and not kissed him. There are 7,000 people. It just feels like it's everybody, but it's not everybody. And that's how a lot of times when we just feel so pressed down, and it's coming from all sides, and even like our Christian brothers and sisters are doing stuff to us, and it feels like they're not even for Christ anymore. They're not even on our side anymore. It feels that way, and it feels like, wow, I'm just so alone. And God says, no, they might be doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing, but they have not bowed down to Baal. They have not kissed his feet or anything like that. There's still hope. And it's so relatable because it feels that way sometimes. It feels like, wow, I'm the only one. But it's not true. It's just that we're all just have stuff happening, and we sin against each other, and we shouldn't. But it feels like that, because I'm trying so hard, because you're trying so hard, that we're not gonna be in the place of the people who we're frustrated with. We think that they're not Christians because they're doing these things to us, but we're still, we still sin against our brothers and sisters. We just don't think we are because we're trying so hard. But as a whole, we still don't stop serving Christ. It's so hard. And the pull of the world is so strong. It's like a current that wants to pull us that way, and it's like you're constantly swimming against that current, and you get so tired and you feel alone in it.
Indeed you do. Indeed you do. You know, especially, well, you know, something happened to you yesterday online with bullying, which had nothing to do with the price of beans in China.
No, it didn't. But
they just
like,
attacked you for no
like
reason.
it was stupid. It was like a post asking a question, literally about a fish aquarium.
And this was in a fish aquarium group.
It was in
right?
a fish aquarium group, and they just came after me. It was awful.
But
and so I was like, because it was one of those groups that you had to wait for the moderator to approve it. So I wasn't online when everybody was commenting all this bad stuff. So I get on there, and like there were just like all these comments like making me feel like the worst person in the world. And even though I knew it was bullying, even though I knew they were wrong, like I was literally crying because I'm a 52-year-old woman, and I was crying about bullies. And every time I was thinking about it, I kept telling myself, this is stupid, don't cry. They don't know what they're talking about. But I did. It's crazy.
And let's elaborate here. It was inside a aquarium group. We just had a blizzard, so you wanted to know if something happened and we couldn't get, you know, water or whatever, if you could use snow to replace the water in the aquarium.
So like when you have an aquarium, like once a week, no matter what, you have to take part of the water out and put clean water in, just like a portion of it, not all of it, but like. And so like I wanted to know if I could just use the snow, because our tap water the pH is really low and it's really hard, and so it's better to just use bottled water. And like we just gone through the blizzard, and I'm like, I don't want to go all the way into town just to get bottled water. I wonder if I could just use snow. And like, so I just posed that question on the group, because it was supposed to be a learning group. And like all these people came at me like for even asking the question. Like that was just the strangest, stupidest question in the world to ask. And I was like, how is that a strange question? It's not. I mean, I might be wrong. You might be not supposed to use it, but like, why would you not be able to repurpose snow after a huge blizzard? I mean,
and they just went psychotic on you.
I guess, but they were like trying to make me look like I was the psycho for asking that crazy person question. And I was just like, wow. I was like, wow. And I was crying even though I knew, like, it was so, they were so dumb, like they couldn't, I don't know. But anyways, it was because of the meanness of it. I don't know why. I just started crying. And I just kept thinking, this is so ridiculous. Why am I crying about this? And I just kept crying. It was like, and so that's when Matthew asked me like what to do, what we should do for the study, I was like, why isn't there some place in the Bible where it talks about when our emotions try to trump reality?
And God has to set us straight. And you know, boy, God really did set Elijah straight here, right?
He didn't do it in a way that he was like scolding him. It was more like he slept and he was like, you need to eat, okay? Just eat. Take care of yourself. He was like, take care of yourself. Yes, sleep. You probably need to sleep. Eat something, okay? Now, and Elijah started telling his spiel and everything, and God was like, okay, I'm actually gonna come there and I'm gonna come there and talk to you, because this is you need me, and I'm just gonna come there and talk to you. So So he went on this spiel, and then God just was like, okay, hold it right there. I'm going to come talk to you. And then, like, all this stuff happened, and then God came and wanted to know, what are you doing here, Elijah? And Elijah got really good at his speech during that time. He like pretty much said word for word the same thing, but he added a little bit at the end, to make sure. And it was like all of how he felt came out when he was talking to the Lord. And God was like, okay, I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you here because, I want you to go and return your way to the wilderness of Damascus. And he was saying he was going to appoint these people to like basically help him. And then he also said, you don't have to be a prophet anymore. Okay. You don't have to be a prophet anymore. I'm going to give that to Elisha. So I get it. You're tired. And it's like God did listen to him. And God does listen to us when we say to him, I'm tired of this happening all the time, And the Facebook example is really, really silly, but there's...
Oh, really, really real. Yeah. It's really real.
But it's silly, but like there's stuff that's worse than that happens to us, that is a little bit more private than what we would put on a show like this. But things that are really, really hurtful, and it feels like coming from every angle, because that's just what the devil has fun doing. He thinks it's funny. And it feels like, I've had enough. You get to the point where you're just like, God, can I just die now? Because I can't do this anymore. And that's where I like to say, how people say, that are wrong when they say God doesn't give you more than what you can handle. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He does give you more than what you can handle. Because that's when you will come to him. That's when you will say, that's when you're going to go tell Daddy. I'm telling my daddy. And it does God's heart good to be able to come and defend you.
Indeed.
And that's what he did for Elijah.
Yes, he did.
Ahab went and told Jezebel, and Jezebel was like, look what I'm going to do to you because what you did. And Elijah went and told his daddy. And his daddy is like, look what I'm going to do to you. And which we'll find out later. Because when the devil gets us to that point, God's not going to tell us how angry he is at the person who did it to us. He's just going to be there and comfort us. But then he is going to handle that person how they need to be handled. We have to be careful not to pray vengeance on everybody and to try to, and let God handle it, because sometimes we don't know. Maybe they are children of God and they're messing up. Maybe they aren't, but God knows that they will come to him eventually. So we just have to pray that God will just handle it in the way that he thinks is good. What?
I had so much I wanted to say, but
Uh-oh.
I think that's enough.
Okay.
I think you said exactly what needed to be said. I think you said exactly what needed to be said.
Okay. Are you sure?
I'm absolutely sure.
I feel bad for talking so much now.
I feel better for you talking so much.
Oh,
So how about
okay.
that? Let's say the Lord's Prayer, all right?
Okay.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
Amen.
Till next time, God bless. Godspeed.